Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands. Today it's the WNR585. It's WWE Survivor Series and John Cena's last match. I'm not alone. Another pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, Happy New Year, Happy Christmas break, everyone. I hope you had a good one. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a while, and we've had a lot of people asking where the Christmas special was and everything like this. But as I think people can even hear from me, I'm still a bit rough now. So, it's been a tough
Yeah.
month. Christmas sometimes is.
Yeah, this month has been just quite difficult for us, not only just to align schedules that work when there's four of us that are kind of trying to input in a lot of this discussion, but just also, illnesses, flu, everything else going around. So do forgive us, audience. We do not mean to keep you, but we're catching up. We're catching up. So give us some
We
time.
we are only human. So sometimes people
Sometimes
just have
we're
to understand.
ill.
Yeah,
Sometimes we are ill.
sometimes. But it's good to have you aboard. And up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, and also House of Torture, honorary House of Torture member. It's been so long, Monty. I almost forgot how to introduce you. I'm sorry. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Luckily, I've avoided illness, but I 100% agree that it's always tough over the holidays to just get on the same page. But I'm glad we're back. Uh, Excited to talk about this, and in honor of this show, I'm just gonna leave you guys. Start off the show with a line from John Cena, one of my favorite John Cena entrances. Out of the two entrance songs he had, time for us to take over Earth. Still kicking in Uranus.
Well, it's good. Like I said, what a way to start. Last but by no means least, we're talking about John Cena. You know what I'm going to do now. Your time is up. My time is now. You can't see me. My time is now. It's a franchise, boy. I'm shining now. You can't see me. My time is now. In case you forgot I fell off, I'm still hot. Knock your shit off. My money stacked fat. Plus, I can't turn this swell off. The franchise doing big business. It's automatic. I win this. Oh, you hear those horns? You're finished. A soldier, I say, under your fighting. Plus, I'm stopping your chops like I'm thunder and lightning. Ain't no way you're breaking me, kid. I'm harder than nails. Plus, I keep it on lock like I'm part of the jail. I'm slaughtering style competition. I got the whole block wishing they could run with my division, but they
But
go
they go
fishing
in
with
peace.
no bait. Kid, your boy hold weight. I got my soul straight. I brush my mouth like Colgate.
Cold
In
gate.
any weather, I'm never better. Your boy's so hot, you never catch me in the next man's sweater. If you hate him, let him
Let
hate.
him
I
hate.
drop the whole clan. Lay your
Lay
ass
your ass
down, let a
down.
3 second time. Your
Woo!
time is there. Come on, the time is now. That's Gina's entrance. Gina, the time is now.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had forgotten my intro too, but clearly not. The time is now.
My
Yeah,
God.
just to repeat, as everyone said, I hope everyone's had a lovely Christmas and New Year break. And it's feels weird to have to try and get myself back into a routine again. So it'll be nice to start that off with these pods.
Oh my word, yes, and we have got so much to catch up on, like I said, and we will catch up eventually, but it might not be till 2027. We just don't know. We'll see how it goes, but we're going to continue. And obviously, we've got Survivor Series, John Cena's last match, but we're going to begin with Raw and SmackDown notes. We're going to go all the way back to when Raw was in Boston and Triple H started the show, soon followed by the hometown hero John Cena in his last appearance in Boston. He said that the NXT talent will wrestle at Saturday night's main event to showcase them. Dirty Dom showed up to disrespect Cena and said anytime, any era. Triple H made the match official, and after a fun match, Cena hit the AA and not only become the new Intercontinental Champion, but also the Grand Slam Champion. Jaxie, I know I'm stating the obvious, but this is what Cena's last year should have been just from this episode of Raw.
Exactly. Like that it's like creatives and he just woke up and was like, oh shit, we should actually have him going out on a bang and just making all these accomplishments and everything else and having great like one-on-one matches, like and actually give them the time to build that up. They only just woke up, but this should have happened right from the get-go, and instead we got him aligning himself with The Rock to only just disappear and everything. Like honestly, I think that's the start of Cena's retirement tour is going to be one of the most talked about in history for how like shoddy it was. we got there, but like right towards the end, it's just so unfair in terms of what he deserved.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the crowd loved every minute of this. And it was a fantastic moment. But unfortunately, we still had another 2 hours of Raw to watch. Well, the last time in the Now tournament started with Rusev beating Damian Priest in a match devoid of people caring. Nakamura and Sheamus had a good match. Sheamus didn't get an entrance, but did get the win. Stephanie Vaquer retained her title against Raquel Rodriguez. Nikki Bella turned on Stephanie afterwards. I mean, Monty, man. I mean, we talked about Bella. This is her moment now, surely, to bring that heel character that we all love.
I don't like that I'm the Nikki Bella correspondent on this show. It feels like right now. But what I will say what I will say is, this is more like for example, the Bella Twins for whatever reason are very popular, especially online, and the people who love Bella Twins or love Nikki's wrestling character love her most as a bad, as a heel. So if this whatever she has going on, this I don't want to say I'm saying final, but she hasn't really ever said this is gonna be her last run. But this run is gonna be anything. This character is probably gonna be where you're gonna get the best of her. So I do think this is probably the right move. She's never really been good or like best in my opinion as a babyface anyway. So hopefully this helps her get into a more of a groove in general in many ways. But when this happened, I do remember a lot of people being a lot of her fans, for example, being excited for what was to come. But we'll see what happens. She's like I said, I think what can help her anyway, because we already know like the catch up that she's probably going to have to do, or as far as like in ring work, but at least as a character, she should at least have this down at being dastardly or being, ego. And she's walking around, and when they introduce her, they keep telling everybody she is a Hall of Famer. She should be, egomaniac. If you really just think about her position, she should think of herself as better than the rest, even if we all know she got a lot still left to prove when it comes to this generation of women. So I don't know. At the time, I didn't. I'm not gonna act like I was moved by it, but I do support it because I think that was always her natural character. Like Nikki Bella at her best, if she was ever at her best, it was as a heel.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I can't wait. Punk and Logan doesn't work for me. Looks like Vision versus Punk, Cody and Jay. At least we had Regal declare war games, and the main event was the women's tag team title match: Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Kabuki Warriors. Interference from Nia Jax and Lash Legend at ringside, including sending Bliss over the announce table, allowed the Pirate Princess to deliver the insane elbow to Flair to win the titles. A post-match beatdown by the Hills led to the return of Io Sky, then Rhea Ripley for the challenge for Mummy for War Games at Survivor Series. But I mean, Gina, again, we talked about the women's tag team division, and it just seems that I don't know if teams get that long a reign, if you know what I mean. It's great to see the Kabuki Warriors win, but it's like, oh, are we done with Charlotte Bliss now, or are we moving in a different direction?
It does feel in a way that tag teams do get short reigns at this point. I think because they just don't realize what they want to do, or they have a certain storyline they're going with, and then they're like, "Oh no, because I need one of them in that tag team. We want to put them in the main title picture to be taking the L's." So it's just always chop and change with who is in the main picture scene, who is in the tag title scene, and how legit those tag teams stay together. If you think about, back in the Attitude Era, and again, there were times where tag teams would turn on each other, but it wasn't as frequent, I find it happens so frequently now. You get a freshly new tag group together, you start to grow to love them over a couple of weeks, and then that's it. One of them turns heel, gets mad at the other one, decides to turn on them. So it's sometimes you just sit there and think, okay, I like this team up, but how long is this going to last for? When are they going to rip them apart from us? So yeah, it's kind of like that. Still, I want to hope that they're going to go into 2026 with a more fresh like idea of who's in the tag team sort of division, who's in the singles division. But this is WWE. They're going to kind of still do what they want when they want, aren't they?
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's the sad thing about it. I blame Shawn Michaels all the thanks, Marty Jannetty. But anyway, we move on to SmackDown with Ripley and Io starting the show. Bliss and Charlotte arrived, but the Queen didn't want to be part of the group. The last time is now tournament continued. Jey Uso beat The Miz. LA Knight faced Zack Ryder. You knew Knight was winning as he didn't have a boo-boo face. But I guess this was nice for Zack. I mean, Jax, we talk about wrestlers who love WWE. I think Zack Ryder is just desperate to be a part of it, just any means necessary.
Yeah. I mean, like, can you blame him when his wife works for the company, So like there's like that when you kind of take it into account. You felt like this was kind of an inevitable thing, like a lot of like wrestler couples tend to want to be on the same roster as one another. That means that they get to spend more time with one another, So that is the right guy. That's Matt Cardona, right?
Yeah, that's Matt Cardona. Yeah,
Oh,
he's the
okay.
one that was
right, okay.
where
No, I was just double
yeah.
checking. I was just double checking. That was like, oh gosh, did I just mix up husbands? But no, I kind of feel like this was a shocker, but it wasn't, Like I didn't think that they'd pull the strings on this like straight away. I thought maybe 2026 because, like how well Chelsea has been actually doing. Like I thought, okay, yeah, like he'll more than likely come into play at some point. I just didn't know how early it would be before that happened,
Yeah, well, he has to get in there because Ethan Page, like I said, is just going to take Chelsea if he's not careful. Or Chelsea will pick him whatever way, you know what I mean? I'm not saying...
Great tag team together there.
Right now. Anyway, nice for Zach. Ilya defended his US title versus Axiom. What I really like about the Open Challenge is that the crowd start quiet, but the action gets them into the matchup. Obviously, Ilya retained. B-Fab versus Jade was definitely a choice. Cargill, now a heel, will ironically get more cheers from the nerds and the people in the crowd than she did as a face. The main event was Reed versus Cody with the W title on the line, ended in DQ. The Usos both came out to try and even the odds. McIntyre showed up despite being suspended. He does hate the bloodline. Heyman picked Drew, and McIntyre took out the entire team single-handedly, which again, is good to see from McIntyre. I mean, Monty, we talked about what type of Drew we want, and this is him, isn't it? Taking out the entire face team.
Yeah, the thing is, like, how many times are we gonna come back with Drew when they're trying to build him? I'm not trying to say they shouldn't. I think they should, but how many times are we gonna come back and say this and like this is what we want, and then we look at him a few weeks later and we're like, oh, well, he's back to being never winning the big match. Complain like how much does this matter but when it's important, Drew is not the one standing tall, and like that's the most frustrating thing in my opinion about Drew as a heel because I think we know the talent, we know he's done a good job of telling stories and being that fall. And I get it, heels are not usually supposed to be the one standing tall, but Drew has also never really ever had that dominant run to be this guy that you're talking about here consistently. And I think that's the thing that kind of hurts Drew in the long run is that no matter it's almost to the point to where no matter what he does, no matter what he accomplishes, no matter how good he looks, he get in these situations. And but in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, this looks good, when it comes down to it, and it's for the title or it's a big match, can we count on this Drew to be there, or will Drew always just fall? And after a while, I think people will start to take him for granted. But luckily for Drew, he is supremely talented, and he is doing a good. This was a great showcase of how dominant he can be. I think I just want some consistency because again, I don't like how some heels can be consistently dominant, but Drew can't, or the only people who are consistently dominant is the babyface champion like a Cody. It's like that's not necessarily all. I'm not saying these guys should be inconsistent either, but I'm just saying Drew is always lacking consistency for some reason. It's just weird to me, but it's good to see him get this focus. But I'm always in the back of my mind wondering, is this going to continue? Will they ever just depict him truly and keep him in a direction and keep him focused, or will it always be stop and start?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. We got Raw from Madison Square Garden. John Cena made his last Raw appearance, believe it or not. The crowd loved him, which wasn't a surprise. Dom interrupted. He wants his rematch at Survivor Series. John still wanted a match in New York. Judgment Day got involved as well. But again, as we talked about, Gina, with this is what John Cena's reign or his run should have been, and especially when he said it's his last Raw appearance, it starts hitting home just how close we are to the end.
Yeah, I think again what Jack said earlier, where creative kind of hit panic mode and was like, "Oh my gosh, we've got all these great ideas now, and we've only got a couple weeks with John left. We're just gonna have to squeeze everything in." If you ask me, they should have had. I know it might sound bad in terms of the year that Dominic Mysterio has had, because Dominic has had a hell of a year, probably his best year ever in wrestling. I feel like John maybe should have won this belt at the beginning of the year or maybe halfway through it. And if they wanted him to have a heel run in the first half, maybe be a heel, you know, person who has the title for a little bit, then have that taken from him, and then him just turn face and continue on with these great matches that he wanted to go out on. But yeah, again, it's all looking great now, but it's just devastating because you're like, this could have been blown up to an even bigger proportion had it just been given the time over this past year to lead to this, So in a way, it's great, but in a way, it's also still frustrating.
It is, yeah. Elsewhere, Fakura was attacked by Nikki Bella. Last time is now Tawny. Gunter made his first appearance since SummerSlam, beating Javon Evans. Solo Sikoa beat Dolph Ziggler. Yes, Nick Nemeth does want to be on NXT, but doesn't mind jobbing to Solo on Raw. And speaking of surprises, AJ Lee shocked Becky Lynch so much she lost the Intercontinental title to Maxine Dupree. Now, Jax, I'll talk about last time in our tournament, but I'm not going to. I'm going to talk about Maxine Dupree instead because I thought this was the way they built up to this match, and to have her win as well, I thought was a great moment for her. And I think she's had a lot of stick in her WWE career.
Definitely. This is one of those ones where I think we've actually had previous discussions in the build up, but like, before her now earning this belt, but her visible improvement within the ring, whether or not it is just Natty that she's working with, or whether or not it's just you know, like all through done through Natty. Like she visibly is improving. And I don't think that like we can do anything but like kind of praise sort of like the storytelling with this, because like we have like sort of recently seen, sort of things where like, the recent thing with Blake Monroe and Thea, and just sort of, a misunderstanding, or sort of like a miss kick out sort of thing happen. This wasn't that case for Maxine, but it was sort of accidental, and sort of the aid she got from AJ Lee and that distraction, and it works. The crowd was entirely behind this, and to be honest, even the short promos that she's been building up and doing, she's getting better and better each week. So I actually think that this is doing wonderful works for what Maxine can bring to the company, and this embodies what the future could look like.
Yeah, without that. And I completely agree. The backstage like vignettes wrestling Natty as well, I think have been really, really well produced. So they continue with it. Paul Heyman introduced 4 of the men who will make up the Vision's War Games team: Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, Bron Breakker, and Bronson Reed. Punk interrupted. Usos and Cody Rhodes rounded out the babyface sides of the things. Brock Lesnar arrived on the scene and hit the ring. Clearly Heyman's secret weapon and the 5th member of the Hill team for Survivor Series. But just as the credits rolled, Roman Reigns made his return, taking his time as he hit the ring. Lesnar's dominance was halted with a single Superman punch. Chaos ensued as the show went off the air, with Reigns delivering a spear that sent Reed and the NYPD through the timekeeper's barricade. Monty, I mean, again, we kind of knew this was where it was going to go, but it's crazy to think that this is every WrestleMania main event for like the last decade in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice. I think that's a nice way to kind of. I think that's a great way to kind of think about why they felt like this was a strong War Games match. At least when you think about the involvement of everyone and the stars of it. And it was Madison, Madison Square Garden, and big time. They love to show out, and when they're back. I guess it's still their home base, so Seeing Roman pull up is not really that big of a surprise, but again, he's always. The thing is about Roman is when he pulls up, say whatever you want about how often it is. There's no doubt in my mind that when he does shows up, we know that this is like it's. I don't want to act like that means like nothing else matters when he's not there, but it's just different when Roman pull up, and I think they've done a good job of making everything he does mean something. Now of course your level of investment in what he got has going, it's hard to kind of stay invested because you know that after the event he's probably going to be gone again. But at the same time, when he's there, he does the energy is there. The crowd is always super into it. And as much as I'm not really into like the whole Vision versus every popular baby, like I do think that part is kind of tired, even at this point around War Game. This moment was still felt like okay, all right. Like I think JR used to always say, business is picking up, and that's the definition of where Roman is right now in his career. Like every time he pulls up, it's like, now we are back to this. So, I do think they kind of get a little bit lazy, but at the same time, like you said, having basically Roman and everybody that was in the War Games match all involved in like the level of talent with Cody and just like even the guy that I'm not even gonna say his name, but we know he was there too, the cowboy and the rest of the division, and but everybody except Logan Paul was important. Is very important in this match. So I understand why they decided to make the match. So I felt like that's probably one of the biggest matches they felt like they could make. But yeah, man, this did a good job of at least trying to get us on track toward Survivor Series by using all of the players in this fashion.
Yeah, and I will mention now because I probably will forget, but poor LA Knight, been fighting the Vision for what most of the year and can't even get in this matchup. I
The,
just
the LA Knight stands hate me because I'm trying to tell them not that I believe that LA Knight don't deserve the spotlight. I just think that it's obvious that is gonna something's gotta happen for Triple H and the crew to feel like he deserves to be in that spot. Like I get it. Like he's been over for years now at this point, as far as like with the crowd. So what is it gonna take to get them to view him? They obviously don't view him that way.
yeah, which is frustrating. Anyway, move on to
Yeah.
SmackDown, and there's not a better wrestler who who gives off-screen beatdowns better than Drew McIntyre. This was another one on Cody Rhodes on his tour bus, which again is impressive for Drew. I mean, Gina McIntyre, just the amount of, do you know what I mean? He's probably the greatest guy that we never see beating down someone. Whether it be Punk or Cody or Jacob Fatu, if that's who we did.
Yeah, I think we can start referring to him as the silent assassin or something, just he's there. You get to see the aftermath, but we don't get to see the lead up or the during of the beatings, of said beatings. So for all we know, he's got, a whole crew of hired security guards that are actually doing the beating. And he's just sat eating popcorn. But then he's like, okay, cameras are coming back, out the shot, out the shot. You know, we
To
don't
be fair,
know,
yeah.
but at this moment in time, Drew is moving like a silent assassin.
Is up next, Ilya Dragunov defender US title versus JD McDonough. I mean, we're eating good. NXT UK still lives. DIY defeated Fraxium. Last time is now tournament continued with Carmelo Hayes taking on Bronson Reed. Rose showed up and pushed the big man into the ring post, allowing Mello to win by count out to advance. The main event was another last time is now tournament with Balor taking on Penta, with Penta getting the win. But again, Jaxie, we've not talked about last time is now tournament. I mean, it's been going along its business, but to see Carmelo Hayes upsetting Bronson, I wouldn't say gave us hope, but it was a nice little surprise, along with, like we talk about, Dolph Ziggler and, of course, Nick Nemeth. Not Nick Nemeth, same guy, Matt Cardona.
Yeah, I mean, it was really great to kind of like see this, like sort of the names that were sort of a part of this. But I just feel like this build up really could have been so much better than, you know, like better advertised, better built up, like make these matches mean something. It's just a bit of a shame because I do feel like they they had these great matches, but they kind of came out of nowhere. It,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it was any of WWE creatives like doing. Even if the matches when worked well, is kind of like a well, you didn't do anything though. The wrestlers made that match good. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely
So
agree with you.
I think that's
Uh,
that's the shame behind it because I feel like if this had been like better advertised, I do believe that like there would have been a lot more hype behind each of these matches, and there would have been a lot more of a discussion behind those that were involved in the tournament.
yeah, no, I agree. The show ended with Flair, Bliss, Sky, and Ripley giving a promo to introduce the fifth member of their team, which was AJ Lee. Their War Games opponents attacked them from behind, ended up taking up the baby faces, including Becky Lynch. On to Raw, Roman Reigns was soon followed by Cody and then Punk, and nothing really was accomplished here. Roman said the title will look good on his shoulder. The last time is now torn. He continued. Gunther beat Mello, but Mello did look great in defeat. And Solo booked his place. Penta delivered a head scissors from the guardrail to Sikoa, but appeared to injure his shoulder, which was a bummer. I mean, Monty, they said that the result wasn't changed, so I guess the result was always to have Solo through, which seemed a bit odd. Do you know what I mean? We're having him going against Gunther in the end. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they were just trying to, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, I can see Solo winning it because they do a really good job for the most part of trying to. Well, it depends on who Solo fighting, obviously. But if he's fighting his family, then you know what? No, they don't necessarily do a good job of protecting Solo all the time. Now that I think about it, but I guess they were trying to. But yeah, it's definitely hard for me to believe that Penta wasn't supposed to win this, like you said, and then fight Gunther because that just seemed more natural. But like you said, people they claiming that was always the plan. So I guess we trust their word in this particular case. But yeah, yeah, Solo uh, winning here. It was just a freak type of thing when it came with Penta. Like, I mean, I saw some people trying to shift blame, which I just want to tell fans that, especially if you never stepped in the ring, I really could care less with who you guys think is at fault on the spot. Like, shit happens. Like, people get hurt all the time. Like, I don't think we need to be going trying to throw blame at somebody when you've never stepped in the ring yourself. Especially in a situation like that. It's just like again, it's a freak type of deal, and it sucks because I think Penta could it'd be nice to have Penta going into the new year around the Royal Rumble. Hopefully it's not like a long-term thing, and he can return before we really get started towards Mania. But if not, it really sucks that it kind of happen on just like a little match, like a tournament match with Solo. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Gunther and Penta most likely was the real decision, but I also don't understand why they feel the need to get out in front of him and be like, no, Solo's always going to win. I don't see why they need to do that either. So it's confusing, but yeah, it was unfortunate for Penta.
Yeah, you're right. It makes it, it makes it more confusing. There was a segment that took me back nearly 20 years. It was Psycho from Big Little Brawlers, Micro Championship Wrestling, and the Micro Wrestling Federation. Real name was Derek Pemberton. He was dressed as John Cena to confront Dom because the hilarious thing was he was a little person, you see. Yeah, me too. Rey Mysterio beat JD. We got the final build for the Women's War Games. The Bayface cleared the ring and Sky added a moonsault. All the hills except Lynch, who watched in disbelief as her survivors' opponents stood tall. Gina, what were your thoughts on the Women's War Games? Because again, it just feels that like they have to get a team together because it's War Games rather than hatred towards each of them. Do you know what I mean? It just, I don't mind it, but you know.
What do you mean, like hatred for like the lineup of the team and that it was
Yeah,
so
it just
others
seems
should have
like they
been
have
in the
to.
team?
Yeah, they have to be a team. You know, I mean, they might not like it, but it's like War Games is coming. We have to be a five. You know, and
Yeah,
let's get Lynch and AJ Lee involved. I didn't mind that. You know, because at least they dislike each other. If you know what I mean.
yeah, definitely. I think like it makes sense when the war game matches kind of bleeds into the storylines that are happening by those involved. So, like you said, with AJ and Becky, it kind of works because their storyline was currently kind of happening at the moment and their feud, so it's kind of like helpful to bleed into it. But then there were some that was kind of just randomly placed, and it's like, who would be good to join this team that's big and can make an impact? Okay, we'll just put them in, so yeah, sometimes it did think like that. You also felt like, I think they always want that dynamic as well of whether teammates will get along, so they want to put people who are like rivals in there too. But sometimes, especially back in the day, I found like the war games, or at least the Survivor team matchups, were made of people who actually were friends and all had each other's backs, and so they were going into this knowing that they could trust their teams. So yeah, it just seems to have changed up a hell of a lot lately.
Yeah, without a doubt. As for the men's, the main event was Drew and Logan getting the advantage when they beat the Usos. Brock Lesnar appeared, slipped during his entrance, and joined his teammates in the ring for a pull-apart brawl. Jackson, when they're going to realise with Brock, just give up. Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like, I know,
God.
like,
Oh my God. After that slip up and that blunder, I was like, give up with him. Give up.
yeah.
Because like that's all I'm gonna remember. That really will be all I remember. That was almost as like I think that was worse than him splitting his pants.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just recent as well, like all just like consecutively within a couple of weeks of each other happening. Like, are you serious? Like it's
Karma.
all just a hot mess.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
Like
give us a
Brock
sign.
is
Give
a
us a
hot
sign
mess.
if it's not working. Like,
Yeah, Brock is a hot mess, you
yeah, no,
know?
it's and then the way he looked down at the spot as well, like it was the spot's fault. Like, do you know what I mean?
I could just see like Paul Heyman trying not to make like, contact with anyone, even including Brock, like trying his hardest, like not to laugh, because I would have laughed in his face.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God.
Like, oh my gosh. I'm never getting over that. So Brock should just leave.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. On to SmackDown. And for those who don't like Jey Uso, he's not made for you. The interactions with the kids make him special. And that's what wrestling should be about, really. But I think we all forget about that every now and again. And the last time is now Tawny Jey Uso beat Rusev. And they picked a replacement for Sheamus, who couldn't make it. It happened to be The Miz, but he lost to LA Knight. Chelsea Green celebration was cut short by Jade Cargill, who had jaded for, I don't know, some reason. And Charlotte beat Oscar to get the War Games advantage for a team. The main event was a traditional Survivor Series match. The MFTs versus Nakamura, Ray Phoenix, Sami Zayn, and the Motor City Machine Guns. The MFTs won, and the Wyatts attacked afterwards. I mean, Monty wasn't bad, but again, if they want to do traditional Survivor Series matchups, why don't we just rest War Games and put it on Survivor Series?
Oh no, that makes too much sense. Even though the paper, even though the PLE or pay per view's name is in the match description, no, we should just do that on SmackDown because that's what we want to do. I'm just happy. I'm glad the Motor City Machine Guns are still here. I wonder if they regret not going to AEW sometimes. I really do wonder sometimes. Maybe not, because I'm sure, like, I think some fans get so in their feelings about the decisions people make and don't understand that, like, some of these guys work their whole life and always still in the back of their mind, no matter what you may think about WWE, they wanted to work there. So maybe that's part of it, and I could just be being wrong, but if I'm a tag team and I'm up and coming, or if I'm a legendary tag team, I don't know if I could sign. I know this question, or I know this prompt is about the whole match, but it's just when I see the multi machine gun, I just get like a little sad because I'm just like prominent teams probably should not come to WWE because you're not gonna be the focus. Even if you get title reigns or you get the spotlight for a short period of time, you will never get a important storyline or utilized consistently. Let's say it that way. But other than that, like you said, this was fine. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, this was cool. But why are we doing this? And it felt like exactly what it ended up kind of being, which was just a good way to continue the Wise MLT story while also getting other guys a chance to get some spotlight going to leading up to through Survivor Series. But it really has no relation to Survivor Series.
And again, I think the point was made earlier by Gina talking about tag teams splitting up so often. I think maybe the New Day are the only team maybe since started the WNR podcast,
Yeah.
that kept together. And you think about how many times they probably were told, "Oh, we're gonna split." Do you know what I mean? Even
Hmm.
moving Big E and stuff like that. But anyway, we are at Survivor Series, November 29th. We've got the kickoff, Joe Tess, Wade Barrett, Big E. We're in San Diego in a big ass stadium. The rest of the crew was there as well. For some reason, we got to sit down with Stephanie McMahon. Michael Cole joined the panel. He says John Cena was the GOAT. It's John's last PLE. He can't believe we're here. Well, we are. Stephanie Vaquer said she will have no mercy for Nikki. We got Cole sit down with Lynch. She says she was screwed. Wade said he's turning grey because he saw a ghost. Sit down with Dom. Sit down with Roman. Not at the same time, obviously. Rey Mysterio joined the panel. Punk returning apparently is the #1 moment in Survivor Series history. I mean, Gina, I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you what it is, but is CM Punk returning really the #1 moment in Survivor Series history, or is that just recency biased?
I
God
think
damn it.
it's biased to those who are big Punk fans or previous wrestling fans. For new wrestling fans who didn't know who Punk was or only knew of him through word of mouth rather than seeing him in his era, I don't think that would align to being the biggest thing happening for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I completely
Yeah,
agree.
I
I
think
mean,
there's more of a biased opinion.
yeah, but then again, everything's fine with Punk at the moment in time, isn't it? So we'll take it. There'll be something that comes up at some point. Cassie B sang the Star Spangled Banner, and then we got the main show, the 39th annual Survivor Series. I can't believe it's the 39th. The Women's War Games, which was Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, AJ Lee, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss, taking on Lash Legend, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, Oscar, and Kari Sane. There was no cages for them to wait in, the shark cages, so they made their entrance after 5 minutes, which I just thought was lazy of them. Charlotte and Oscar started for their teams. Io was next in, soon followed by Becky Lynch. Bliss helped her mates before Kari Sane arrived. AJ Lee wasn't allowed in by Lynch, so she climbed over. Nia walked straight in. Not much happened before Ripley came out. Lash Legend was last, and a good spot to have. Flair and Ripley silenced all doubters about their ability to coexist, and the Queen saved Eradicator from Oscar's blinding miss and sparked a comeback from her team. Flair, Ripley, and her teammates survived a dominant performance from the heels, capitalised on the opening, and teed off on Lynch in the closing moments of the match with the man reeling from a hard right from Bliss and the riptide from Mummy. Lee applied the Black Widow and forced a tap out for the victory. Jaxie, start us off here. I mean, cast your mind back to the Women's War Games. I didn't think it was a bad way to start the show.
No, I don't think it was either. I do think I have to agree with your comment there about sort of like the laziness of not having them in cages. There would have been something just kind of I think funny about like I don't know, say having someone like Becky Lynch who just chats a lot of shit, like be chatting a lot of shit, and then all of a sudden like she's up next or something, and the cage opens. Just there's just loads of comical bits that could have happened with like there being a cage in effect. But overall, you can't say that this wasn't a great way to start the show. Everyone was eager to see AJ Lee get back in the ring. We'd all been like eagerly hoping and praying that the one-off tag match that she had with CM Punk wasn't the one and only match she was going to have. So I think there was a lot of anticipation going into this match, and it really didn't let things down. There were great moments, great individual moments. I personally loved Rhea putting AJ on her shoulders just so that she could pass the garbage can. Thought that was a brilliant setup. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. And that spot never gets old. I can see EO. I don't
Yeah,
care how many times. It's probably
yeah.
like the 7th time she's done it now, but it's still cool.
It still looks amazing every time she does it, and so you can even hear the excitement of everyone else, like waiting for her to do it. So like I think like they all did really well, but again, I feel like they lucked out not putting them in cages and just having them there, like kind of sprouting off shit in the background. But that's my own personal thing.
No, I completely agree. Monty, I never thought Lash Legend would get to this stage, and I'm actually quite, I'd say, happy for her. I'm surprised by it because she's just taken it like a duck to water.
Yeah, I mean, I always, I'm not gonna say always, but I definitely for a while now watching her work in NXT saw this potential. I'm not gonna say I always thought for like the last, I don't want to say 6 to 8, basically pre-metaphor, and then like as metaphor started to dissipate, and then after that, and they just couldn't find nothing for her, in my opinion, in NXT. I just thought that I couldn't believe that they was wasting somebody with that type of just almost without before I get to the charisma that she has from a speaking point of view and all of that. It's just like just from her side, like this is WWE I'm talking about. Like just when somebody could be so much bigger than most of her opponents, like last year, and not have a dominant run in NXT. Like she lost a lot more than she won, if you remember, like James. So
Mhm.
like the fact that she's coming on the main roster and they utilizing her in this way, like you said, it's kind of shocking. I do remember. I understood. I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to call you out here, Jay, but I do remember when she debuted way back in the day in the NXT UK days. You was not a fan at all, but I
Oh,
understood. Like
she
she, it
was
was rough.
useless.
It
Yeah,
was
she
really
was
rough though. It was really
fizzling
rough.
shits. I can't
But
believe
that,
it. You know.
but to be fair to her, they put her out there with limited experience, and we had a lot, and like it's a lot of people we seen start off bad and they don't get any better. And she's improved leaps and bounds in the ring. She's 100% more comfortable on the microphone, and she's always had that, in my opinion. I think that's what kind of got her there. And I think if you can get that, it's kind of like we talk about Trick Williams. I think Trick only gotten better in the ring, and Trick Williams always had the mic and always had the presence. And I think the same thing is kind of happening with Lash in a sense, to where now the ring work is catching up. Now she's working a big style, a big kind of like with Raquel when they wanted Raquel to work different. Lash, in my opinion, is using her size, and this match really was the best. That was the best part of the match to me, was kind of showcasing Lash's size, because I mean Oscar and Kyrie did great spots, but I'm kind of used to that, and I know what to expect with Oscar and Charlotte's chemistry. For example, like everybody else is so established, so it was really cool to see them give Lash enough attention and allow her to kind of be dominant overall in this match. So I'm like you said, I'm just like you, John. I'm proud, even if I wasn't as down on her in the beginning, because I just somebody with that type of physical talent, I was just like, yeah, no, she's cool. And then like the background of Bianca being the one who kind of trained her and got her in the business, I was like, oh, okay, let's just give it time. And I'm happy to see that so far it seems like she's on the right track to being a superstar in her own right. But yeah, man, she also was working with the best people to possibly be working with in this match, with like the with Oscar being a teammate and Kyrie, and then you got going against the Charlottes. You have Becky on your team, and you're in the ring against the EOs and all these people who can make you look like $1 million. So I love that element of the match, and I think that's probably like my favorite thing about it. But I think, and this is no fault to the ladies. I think the ladies work hard. I thought, again, this is really good, but like a lot of problems I have with this match, the more I think about it, it probably doesn't really have much to do with the ladies as much as it got to do with like the match itself and just the stakes, and just like War Games is called War Games for a reason. And War Games with limited stakes and War Games that doesn't feel like, other than the EO spot that you're right, James, is always great to see. But at this point, it's just a free fall, and you let EO do her spot, and that's about it. It's not really a brutal War Game styles match. And I know WWE always going to have restraints on the women when it comes to brutality, but like comparison to AEW's Blood and Guts, AEW is going to let the women go out there and have kill each other. And I get some people don't like it, but I get that. But at the same time, you got the flip coin of this, which is like, why are they in the cage? Why are we doing this? And you can tell they brought the weapon and they wanted to utilize it, but it was kind of clunky to me. And then, like you mentioned, the entrance thing kind of messed up the timing of certain things. So it was a good match, and I think they all worked hard. But I did have a lot of problems. But the more I think about it, it's more so to where I don't think we need War Games every year. I think War Games, and we can talk about it even more later. I think War Games will be better utilized in proper situations with stakes. Like even if you think back to when it was like Bloodline versus Babyface type of deal, a few that felt more important, or like, but even Bloodline versus Bloodline in a sense. Even if you didn't like that or not, it was still something now to where I understood it. But in my opinion, War Games, even when they did it in NXT, I know they started to do it a lot more, but they were always better to me when it felt like we were gonna go somewhere and we had stakes surrounding the brutality, surrounding the spots we seen. In this match, I thought was good, but it wasn't really a lot of other than the EO spot, and then like I said, Last Legend focus. Like I thought Becky did some good character work, and of course, again the Kabuki Warriors were great, and even like Charlotte, I thought was really good too. But other than that, it wasn't really a lot other than small moments. Even AJ Lee didn't really do a lot, but I thought, to be honest, I'm not expecting a billion. Like the amount of people I see complaining about what AJ Lee has done since he's been back, and I'm just like, do y'all not realize she was legit done with this business? Like, I understand what you want, but if you were looking in this thinking she's gonna do a backflip off the cage or something, you're out of your mind. Like, she did what she needed to do, and it's always great to see her. And it's just her second match, so just relax. But other than that, my biggest problem with the match doesn't really have anything to do with anybody's work. I thought everybody did pretty well as far as the match goes. It's just like I said, the whole concept of the match. To me, I'm questioning: do we need to do this every year?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, like I said, maybe the weakest women's war games, but I think Gina, as Monty mentioned, that is the frustration because we know what the women can do in the ring and kind of deliver, and they might have been told, look, because we've got the main event coming up, not to overshine. Hopefully, it doesn't get said, but you never know. And plus, we saw what the women could do in Blood and Guts, as Monty mentioned as well, and it's like, yeah, it wasn't on that level, even though the talent is there.
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, James, we don't know whether they were told, tone it down a bit or don't go as hard because the guys are going to be doing it in the end. I'd like to hope that that's not being said, but yeah, in some ways you do feel like I do agree with what Monty is saying is do we need one every year? I think like it builds the anticipation, and when the need calls for these war games or Survivor Series battles to be had, then bring it in. It doesn't have to be every year. I think that would build more anticipation, and it also wouldn't feel like you're getting the same thing every year in and year out. And don't get me wrong, again, I could see Io Sky jump off the top of a cage with a dumpster on her head all the time, but then is there going to be a point where people are just going to grow bored of that because they're seeing
Mm.
it every year and it does feel like it's just the same thing every war game match? We do like the creativity, we do love to see the wrestlers wrestle safely, but there also comes a time of, will this start becoming repetitive and people lose interest?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right, so out of five, then, Jaxie, what would you give it?
I'm still gonna give this a 4.5. It was still good.
Yeah, Monty
Yeah, I acknowledge the girls. I give them a 4.
and Gina.
Yeah, I still thought it was a good War Games match, and I think all of them got to showcase themselves well, so I'll still go 4.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4.5 as well. Predictions for the WNR Prediction League. This is 2025. Look, we're gonna catch up with everything, all right? This is after Full Gear, but before Survivor Series and Deadline. So the bonus league at the moment, Gina on 14, Jaxie on 16, I'm on 17, Monty on 19. The WWE League, I'm on 5, Jaxie Gina locked on 7, Monty is on 10, and AEW. Jaxie and James on 2, Gina on 3, Monty on 5. So today is all about who's going to who's going to be there, Jaxie or Gina. We're going to find out. Well, I went to Hills and the rest went to Faces, which wasn't the best start. So I'm on 0, the rest are on 1. The Intercontinental Championship was up next with John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio. Dirty Dom did everything in his power to escape his hometown of San Diego with a belt, faking a shoulder injury, relying on interference from every member of the Judgment Day, moving his own boot and attempt to use the championship. Cena recovered or evaded all of it. Along the way, both the champ and challenger kicked out of each other's finishers. Then come a ref bump and the return of Liv Morgan, who rushed to the ring and proceeds to slap Mysterio. She then leapt into the arms of Cena, only for her demeanor to change. She kicked Cena low. Mysterio delivered a frog splash, and the second generation star became a two-time Intercontinental Champion. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it was a very, very typical WWE match, but I do love the fact that when John kind of talked about it in interviews I seen after it, how happy he just seemed to be with. working with Dominic in general. You know what I mean? But I will say I will say the booking. If you want to say something is overbooked, I will say that this might be definition of overbooked. Like the entire Judgment Day, it took the entire Judgment Day to help Dominic basically beat a guy who we all acknowledging is done after this. And I'm not trying to say is that I don't understand like who John Cena is. Like I'm the guy. I'm one of those guys. I love John Cena, so I understand. But to act like Dominic need that or like I feel like John Cena could have put over Dominic with just the Liv Morgan interference. Because that one was the most effective thing anyway. So I didn't think all of that other stuff needed. And of course, another fake injury, which I'm not really into that either. So here we go again with that spot. So again, it was some decisions in this match for this to be John Cena's last match. And I'm not saying it's not good. Dominic is a heel, so I get it. Faking the injury for Dominic, he's a scumbag. Maybe I'm not supposed to like it, but it's not even just that. It's mostly the concept of faking the injury that me and you kind of talk about sometimes, James, about being annoyed with, especially since WWE does it. I probably, if I did a counter of this year, how many like not real injuries WWE did this in 2025, it might be more than you think. But anyway, again, it was great to see Liv Morgan back, and I actually was excited to see her and all of that. And even with the jumping in and seeing the arms and the facial expressions, I thought that was cool funny too. But yeah, man, it's basically a similar. It was also kind of a good callback to what Cena kind of did to Cody too, having Dom kind of get the title in that fashion. So again, I did love the little tip of the cap in that way, and I love the fact that Cena enjoyed doing this for Dom because I think we all know that Dom kind of can deserve it, but some of the booking decisions is like, well, all right, like goddamn, like come on, man, like it's just overbooked to as far as you can overbook something, in my opinion. But again, I was happy for Dom. It was a good moment and something he'll always remember. But when you ask, oh man, what's the last pay per view image of John Cena? It's gonna be him the entire and maybe that's poetic. The entire faction had to come to screw him out of this match. Even though I'm not like frustrated with it. I just find it ridiculous in a sense, but it is what it is. It was still an enjoyable conclusion. I will say that the match was okay.
Yeah, I mean, if they DDT'd him on the concrete floor, he probably would have won, wouldn't he? So I get, I'm
Right.
glad, I'm glad he didn't do it. But anyway, this will do more for Dom than most, And as we talk about Gina, Liv Morgan being back is a great thing because even John Cena's last match, and it was all about Liv Morgan's return. Most of it was, which I think just shows you what a star she is.
Yeah, again, Liv had such a great dominant role before she went off that it clearly has not been forgotten, because the reception to getting her back was really loud. And again, I know that John is a humble guy and he's happy for others, so I don't think he would have been bitter in any sense, but it did feel a little overshadowed at the match. I will say that it's not that I think that it was the wrong choice or wrong decision. I don't. After the year that Dom has had, I think he should have ended it having the belt back in his arms. But this is my point about maybe giving the John the belt a little bit earlier than what they did, because I know they gave it now just feels like it's a rushed belt. They realized it's the only belt John's not had. They want to make him a Grand Slam champ before he goes out. Quick, give him the belt for a week and then Dom can have it back a week after, etc. So I already had a gut feeling tomfoolery was going to happen here or something like that. If they had maybe made him hold the belt a bit earlier than this, then maybe I would have had different thoughts of how this match would have gone. But it still was enjoyable. But yeah, it just was.
Just imagine if there was a tournament Dom could have won to meet Cena for the Intercontinental title. You know what I mean? But again, there's not. I guess there wasn't a tournament there. All joking aside, though, we should say John Cena. This was his last PLE, and it was his 177th, and he's got 100 wins. But I mean, Jaxie, what's crazy about it? Dom may break Cena's record at PLEs. I think he's on 20 at the moment. But if you look at the consistency of how long he can go, But it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, a lot of emotion for John Cena as well at his last PLE.
Again, like I think like this could actually even be seen as like the theme of like um this whole sort of not just retirement tour, but this podcast and this discussion. But Dom definitely is working towards being like the future of this division, and like having an accomplishment like winning this match against John is a big feat for him. Is something that he can sort of like continue on like doing and improving on, and just doing what he's already excelling in. I would have done this a lot earlier, like had they not fucked about with like the shitty stuff they started with for John Cena's retirement tour, and possibly started it off with John coming in earlier in the year and taking it from Dom, and then Dom finally working his way towards the end of the year in getting a title opportunity shot against him back, then this would have actually made a lot more sense. It's just a bit of a shame, I think, again, because I feel like last minute booking, yeah, they really wanted to make John Grand Slam, and I don't blame them for that, but this it didn't do anything for Dom. Thankfully, I don't think it actually harmed his sort of like standing and his chances on like what he's trying to do, especially with the Intercontinental belt. But um um yeah, like I did find that it was a little bit of I'm more mad at creative about this, because I just kind of feel like, well, like you should have thought about this sooner, about putting that belt on him sooner, because you've had this for a while and you could have done that ages ago.
Yeah,
So there's a part of
yeah.
me that's just like, it's not that I'm disappointed in the outcome. I think you guys brought up a lot of good points. Dom is doing his great work, his best work. It was great seeing Liv sort of return in this sort of fashion as well. But again, I like this should have happened earlier on, because it just felt forced. It felt rushed.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think this, even what we've talked about, his appearance in Boston and stuff like that, leading to his last match, it should have been a whole year rather than, like you said, the last couple of months just crammed in, But the crowd was great and they responded well. And as we mentioned, can we just end injury angles for a while? But I did like this. Out of 5, then, Monty, what would you give it?
3 3/4.
3 3/4. Gina?
Same.
It was Jax?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 1/4.
And I'm going to give it 4 1/4. Predictions, all Dom. So I'm on 1, the rest are on 2. The Women's World Championship was next. Stephanie Vacquer versus Nikki Bella. And Bella jumped Stephanie from the opening bell, beating her down and looking to get the upper hand early. The champion countered the veteran early, but an injured knee and a Bella buster on the floor turned the tide in the Hills' favour. Stephanie fought from underneath, delivered 2 devil's kisses, and added a spiral tap for the pin full victory. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Um, I think I definitely agree with what Monty had mentioned earlier in terms of Nikki being better as a heel than a face. I think like she suits being a better heel a bit more and using the heel moves. I think it works better for her character and what she can do in the ring. I think Stephanie also worked well with her. And there was still lots of chance, for the match. I think Nikki had quite a few fans in the crowd, but I think Stephanie is very well over with the crowd at the moment. So she kept them all awake, put it that way. And they were all waiting for that devil's kiss to just hit. I think that's what everyone just waits for when they see a Stephanie match. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I do feel like maybe they I don't know. I don't want to say they could have built this feud up a bit more to make it feel a bit more pay-per-view worthy. I don't know if it's just Nikki Bella. It's not that I don't like her, I just don't know. But either way, I'm happy that like Stephanie retained at this point. I think that's the right call, and I think it's better that Nikki stays a heel.
And again, people say like I'm not that positive, but I enjoyed watching Nikki Bella's head bounced off the table and the canvas as well. So, you know, there was a bit of fun there. I mean, Jaxie, the thing is like, it's what's next for Stephanie. Is she just waiting for kind of Ripley and EO to become available while she has these kind of feuds for the title? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I hope not. I hope that we're just at some point just gonna kind of move on from this, and we actually just like have you know, Stephanie take on a plethora of different people, and it's not just like, you know, continuously the same person. Um, I think that is just like yeah, it's a bit weird because if it's one of those things where you just can't like really tell whether or not it's like the build up of the storyline or not, because it, for me, like um I felt like again, this was a bit of rushed storytelling, you know, like with this coming into it. That being said, I do agree that like I think that, you know, Nikki was playing the role well, um of, you know, like, you know, being like I deserve respect and I don't get it, blah blah blah, you know, like that's kind of how her character has always been. um but yeah, I don't know, something is not working out. I don't know whether or not they just kind of need to like already like bin this feud and like just get her into feuding with others. But yeah, I mean, like this match was okay for me. Like it's just like I feel like Stephanie could be doing so much more, and I believe that she actually is not that. Like I don't think uh uh Nikki's good enough to be feuding with her, but I just want more out of this run for Stephanie, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Monty, any thoughts on this? Because again, I think the girls pretty much hit it on point.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly also just wish that we started doing better jobs of making the work with the titles mean. I mean, matter more by building up opponents too. You know, I know Nikki is who she is, and I know just because you repeat that she's a Hall of Famer or everybody, but what has she done lately to deserve this spot? She's only on her ninth match. You know, it's kind, you know, and I think like her ninth match since returning back. So it was just like having this being in this spot with somebody like you know, Stephanie, who was on fire. You know, you would, I think this match could have, like, maybe it would have felt better if Nikki had been on a streak of you know, terrorizing or beating up not just Stephanie but other faces to help build her up and also just get her more comfortable, because I do think she was okay in this match. I think another thing too is that it's a speed difference. Like, I think everything you saw Stephanie do was smooth and fast and high impact, and Nikki was doing her best. But it's just like you can tell the difference in the way that they fight, and I think a lot of that comes from being comfortable. I think a lot of the newer, I think if you're more comfortable with what you're doing and who you're working with, you're able to be physical and you're able to move without thinking. And I don't think Nikki is quite there yet in that regard. And you know, also like other than the obvious like talent disparity, like it is a talent disparity in as far as wrestling ability. So we know that, but I think you can still could have weaved a better match. And I think a lot of what we're talking about don't even really got anything to do with Nikki as much as it's about booking. Like, we think about what you just said. You just like Stephanie. Yeah, I can see Stephanie doing so much more. That is on the booking. That's not on the talent. You know what I'm saying? And I think that
That's true.
it's a lot of stuff like that in WWE in general where we're just looking at it and it's like, okay, this is fine, but man, I can see this person being this or doing this or having that style of feud or that type of match. So again, I think a lot of the clunkiness in general of the in this match or just in general in the women's division can be avoided if we got better decision making and more consistent booking. But you know, that is what it is. I thought this was fine for what it was. My expectation wasn't super high, but I thought it was okay. And I think Stephanie did a good job. She got the best she could out of Nikki at this stage. And like I said, I think as Nikki gets more comfortable and allowed to be more here, maybe you know, working with different talents. Yeah, I can see her being a good mentor to an up and coming heel if they want to use her in that fashion. I think it's ways to do it. We've seen AEW get use talent who are not to say, you know, Nikki's like old, but she is in wrestling
He's
years.
past it.
Exactly. She's exactly in wrestling years. She is like a legacy act. So I think we've seen AEW, and we've seen even WWE at times treat or book these situations a lot better. And I think because we know that Nikki Bella is from a different era, it's even more baffling when we see her get this position when she's obviously not in the shape from a wrestling ability to be in a 10-minute plus match with a Stephanie Valkyrie right now.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you there. Right, so out of 5 then, Gina, what would you give it?
3.25.
3.25. Jaxie?
Yeah, same.
Monty?
Yeah, I give it a 3.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to put my score down for it. I give it 3.5. I mean, and that's me being obviously nice, even though apparently I don't like them. It's crazy. Predictions, we all went for Quer, so it means I'm on 2, the rest are on 3. And the main event was the men's War Games matchup. Maybe in a bit of a surprise, but CM Punk started for his team, Brom for his. Up next, the man that made a difference, Drew McIntyre. After dominating, Cody arrived and jumped off the cage. Breaker took a sickening doomsday device from Punk and Rose, landing directly on his neck. Logan was next, and then Jimmy. We got Bronson and Jay. Lesnar arrived, and then Roman to start the match. Brock hit 2 F5s on Roman, but was done by a GTS and a Crossroads. Punk had momentum on his side after dropping Paul with GTS when a mystery assailant entered the cage. He rocked the World Heavyweight Champion with a short super kick, then added a stomp. Maybe suggested it was Seth Rollins. However, the visionary, fresh off labour surgery, as Wade Barrett reminded us, Breaker fired up, delivered a spear to win the match for his team by pinning the best in the world. After the Hill celebrated, Reigns helped Punk to his feet and expressed frustration with Rhodes, telling it was the last time they would ever team as the show went off the air. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
Um, yeah, I mean, this for me is like, when it happened, it was like kind of shocking because of it wasn't really expected. Like, I honestly at this point I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, why are they coming out? Why are they getting involved? Does this really have anything to do with any of the storyline, or is this just one of those sort of fail-safe moments where they're like, okay, let's just cause a distraction or have an unknown person, which we don't know who it's genuinely going to be yet, just interfere? Do you know what I mean? So this was one of those ones where I was like, oh, it better be someone good underneath that hood. I think that was like, sorry, we are talking about the men's
Yeah,
match,
we're talking
right?
about
Oh,
men's, yeah. Yeah, no, I
but
completely.
yeah,
That's what I agree with you.
I definitely think that there were some great moments within this match. But I think personally for me, like the big sort of thing to come out of it was more like the thing I took away from that match ultimately was, who is this person now? Are they involved in any of the storyline that's been going on? Because of all of this whole storyline, again, like has been built up because, Punk, Rhodes, and Roman Reigns are all fed up of the vision, that sort of thing, and, they're only kind of like aligning themselves with each other because they have a mutual enemy. So I was kind of nervous of the outcome of this and how it was going to play into future storylines.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I think it was more like sort of like a mixture of like shock and curiosity of where are you going with this, and please tell me you have something in mind. And this wasn't one of those moments where we're like, fuck, we don't know what to do. Do you know what? Send Becky out. I'm not saying that would have been Becky, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's starting to
Yeah.
become a WWE fail safe. Like, if they don't know what to do, just send in an unknown person that they still don't know about, and can uh we'll deal with it next week. Sort of
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
that
No.
was like, there was a bit of worry coming out of the match because of that sense.
Yeah. No. I completely agree. It's very old school WWE to have a masked man. But I mean, Monty, I know you've seen a lot of wrestling. Has a masked man or even woman reveal ever been worthwhile? Do you know what I mean? This is what I thought when it happened. I was like, oh, they're going here. I was like, oh, I bet it's going to be fucking awful, you know?
It was me, Austin. When it was Vince. It was Vince apparently kidnapping and abusing his own daughter, which
Yeah, the higher power. Yeah.
yeah, it might not be that far off actually.
Black
Man,
Scorpion, all the good ones, all the good ones.
exactly. So, you're 100% right there. Usually, and some of that is the wrestling fans' mind. Some of that is like we started fantasy booking in our mind, and like it's never as good as you make it. And then some of that is that no, that was just actually a shit surprise or whatever. So yeah, it rarely works out. I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of this match in general. Obviously, I'm done. I'm not really into the war games concept as much anymore. But it's like I mentioned, we all it was a star-studded affair. You know what I mean? And I will say that and I saw a lot of people get mad at Jey Uso running the entrance back in the middle of the match. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I mean, if that's what made this match bad to you, then you was obviously way more invested in all of this than I ever was in the first place. Because actually, watching them do that, I got a kick out of it because it was actually something kind of interesting and that I wouldn't really expect to happen. Even though I understand people like everybody's talking about, oh, this war game is supposed to be this, but none of these matches, in my opinion, have been, like as serious as we would like them to be. That's my whole problem with war games at this point. They haven't been that serious. They've increasingly gotten less serious the more we do them. It feels like, and the whole thing is too having the match man pop up and be in the end, finishing the match like that. The thing is about it is that everybody they're making such a big deal about the interference. It was a no DQ match. It's a no DQ match. So like, all right, anybody, Paul Heyman could have climbed his ass in there and tried to do something, right? I mean, it would have been hilarious to see him do that. But still, again, I was happy Braun Breaker was able to, get the pin. That's pretty much the best part of it. But other than like star power and and like the fact that Logan Paul technically is like a winner over a team with Roman and like the fact
Don't.
that Paul got a win over those guys like Punk, Roman, and Cody, and you know what I mean, a legendary tag team and the Usos. Like, yeah, other than that, it wasn't really much to me. I'm not gonna say it was bad, or maybe it was. Man, and like you mentioned, you said the women's war game was probably the worst one. I don't know if this is. I don't see how this is not this probably the worst men's one. Even though I don't mind, I didn't mind a lot of, but I just think this match was a lot of. It just reminded me of like something that's like how, and a lot of Star Wars fans will understand what I'm saying. It's a lot of stuff that's in the Star Wars universe, or a lot of movies or shows that's just banking in on the name or just the fact that they in the Star Wars universe. And I felt like that's what War Games did in this one. It was just like we got these stars in this match. We just gonna coast off that and the fact that they're in this match, and nothing else really have to be overly exciting or interesting about the match. Even if you could nitpick and pull some stuff out of it that I thought was okay. Did it have some? Did I thought it was better than what I saw people say about it? Sure, it was. I thought it was like at least above average, but it wasn't anything too special to me. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we got, like you said, every WrestleMania main event in the last 10 years almost in this match and Logan Paul. And let's just coast off that and have a good match and get out of there. And I thought it was an okay finish to a pretty mediocre type event for me overall, but it wasn't bad, and it was good to see Braun Breaker get the win. That's the
Yeah.
best thing about it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Look, Bron getting a win at least maybe sets the stage a little bit for the future. It was the first time since 2022 that the Hills won. But again, another frustrating thing, and Gina, I know Monty mentioned about the disqualification finish, but commentary had to cover for Lesnar leaving the ring and not suffering a loss by
Yeah,
forfeit because that's the rules of war games. And it's just like, come on, guys. Do you know what I mean? Come on, get it right.
Yeah, that didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. One of you lose, you will lose, or sort of situation, you know. So again, it kind of defeats the object, the whole point of said match. But yeah, excluding that, there's not really much else for me to add to this match. I think Monty covered a lot of it. I did like some of the team ups that you got to see, though. Some of the sort of team ups that you wouldn't normally get. In normal matches because these people wouldn't normally be on teams together. So I think that was a nice nostalgic feel about it, and that's a great thing to say about this match I got.
But it's weird that no one's mentioned like the interaction between. I mean, I mentioned Roman, Cody, and Punk, but no, I don't think anybody cares. Do you know what I mean? And if it was to set up like a WrestleMania program, or anything like that, it didn't do its job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was Brom pinning Punk. Okay, that sets the stage, but nothing else did. You know?
I think people were more curious about who the masked person was
Mm.
in the ring. Which, by the way, I knew who it was as soon as they came into the ring. I thought they were going to reveal themselves, and I was like, "Oh God! Like, why is Sting not revealing himself? Like, it's blatantly Sting." That's
Well,
what I had, like when Monty said earlier about, or I think it was you actually who said about like all different kind of reveals that we get throughout the years of wrestling. I think Sting's reveals are always best when he's just got a face mask of his own face on him. It's
Mhm.
just
Yep.
brilliant. I was
Sting
That's
dressed
what
as
expecting,
Sting. Yeah.
yeah, I
that's
was
exactly what he
expecting
should have
Sting's
did.
mask to,
Take
to
right. Take off your mask to another mask.
yeah.
That would have been great.
That would have
Oh,
been
that
good.
that would have been the best part. But for me, that was the biggest takeout from this is Braun getting the win and whoever this masked man is, nothing about the, three top dogs that were kind of squaring off in there.
Yeah, completely agree. Right, Jax, out of five, then what would you give it?
I mean, I'm gonna give it a 3 and 3/4.
Mm, yeah, I'm trying to think what I'm going to give it. Monty?
3 and 3/4.
3/4. Gina?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same.
Yeah, I'll give it a four. Predictions. I've done this a few times, whether it would be in Rumbles and Money in the Banks and that lot. I've picked the wrong way round and got it completely wrong. So I went the faces, the rest went to heels. So the final scores, I'm on two, the rest are on four. And more annoying than that is perfect scores as well. So well done, the three of you. I mean, Monty, not as much you, but I mean, especially Jackson and Gina, not only
I
for
agree with
another
that.
pay per view win, but a perfect score. Ah,
Woo,
God.
woo, I'll take that towards the end of the year.
So what it means though, interestingly enough, for the WWE League, we all knew Monty was going to win on 11, and he did. He probably got most of the events. I've not looked back because it's not me winning, so why do I care? Jaxie and Gino on both on 8, which is a great score. Probably win in normal years. And Jaxie, especially after you were so shit last year with WWE, or the year before
Gee,
now.
thanks. You could have just, left with, oh, you've improved immensely. Yeah, thanks, James. I have. Thank you for noticing. But yeah, I kicked your ass here, so I'll take that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
the
just
only
don't forget
loser.
you were shit last year.
So you got to remember that the only loser in the league was me because, like I said, Jackson Gina finished level, Monty ahead, and the bonus points. Yes, the bonus league means Gina's on 15 and Jaxie has joined me on 17. I just can't get rid of this bitch. And Monty is on 20, and the bonus
You
leagues, of
need to get
course.
out of my way. You just need to get out of my way.
I'm not giving
Seriously.
up. I'm not giving up. We've still
Watch me
got
knock
dead.
you down.
We've still got deadline. We've still got World's End for the AEW, which could be perfect scores there as well, plus the year-end predictions on top of that. But overall, then for Survivor Series, I mean, Monty, I guess the
Mhm.
match would be the Women's War Games, but who's your MVP? What's your score out of 10?
Uh, let's see. I think I said mediocre earlier. I feel like I don't know. I feel like a 7. Feel like Do y'all think a 7 is mediocre, or is a 7 is like too high for mediocre?
I think for you, a 7 is pretty low.
Okay, yeah. So there we go. Yeah. So I'll go with a 7. I don't think it was a bad show. I just thought that even going into the show, my urgency to watch, and this is a big fall pay-per-view, so I do think it kind of sucks that my urgency to watch this show wasn't really there. And then once I got to the show, it was just like, okay, it was some okay moments and it was still fun, but it was just like, okay, all right. But because I feel like I came away from it, and other than Braun Breaker coming out on top and winning, I guess the mystery of the masked man, you come away from this one and you're just like, okay, what did this Survivor Series actually achieve? And I think you guys kind of hit on it earlier when you were talking about how it felt like they want to tease us Roman challenging Cody or Punk or all three of them involved in something, but they didn't even execute that. They didn't like. They definitely didn't want to commit to that fully because they didn't go. They didn't focus. They didn't need that as the main focus after the show. So I'm gonna say 7 overall because again I thought it was just mediocre or average, and for Survivor Series, which is kind of disappointing because Survivor Series is usually, in my opinion, a good time. Uh, and let's see, like you said, I'll keep the matches, the women's, and I'll give my MVP to Lash Legend and yeah, just Lash Legend. Screw
Fair enough. Gina, what would you give? I mean, your match was the Women's War Games again. What would you give out of 10? Who's your MVP?
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate with the women's war games. I'm gonna go 7 too, actually. Yeah, I think a 7's good for the show. Um, MVP. Could I give it to Sting? Um,
Yes, you better say yes,
Yes,
sir.
you can. You can. Your Sting is your MVP.
yeah, I'll go with Sting, and if not, I'll give it to EO for doing that jump.
Jax, again, I think your match was Women's War Games, so MVP and score out of 10.
Yeah, give this a 7. I'm gonna go Legend as well. And yeah, Lash and EO.
Yeah. I'm going to go 8.25 for me, which is a really low score. And MVP is Dominic Mysterio. We saw a clip of Heyman pushing a kid. We got any thoughts on this? Anybody disgusted by his behaviour? I'm not that surprised, really. It's Paul Heyman, you know.
Yeah, I don't have a high bar for Paul to be
Yeah.
honest. So yeah, all I know is my kid. I might have to call the lawyer. Paul got some
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, exactly. Post show, Joe Test, Biggie, Peter Robertsberg, Dom and Liv joined the panel. Dom is the GOAT now, apparently. Liv was pleased to be back. Next up was Heyman, Bronze, and Logan. They shit all over the crowd. Triple H was the usual stuff as well. On to Raw, Dom showed up with Liv in a lowrider. The last time is now was the semi-finals. LA Knight surprised many by beating Jay Uso, and Jay threw a tantrum afterwards, which is usually the other way around, you know. In the other semi, Gunther beat Solo, and that was it. Judgment Day promo, basking in their glory. Liv says she's heard Judgment Day a week, but it changes now, and they are coming for everything. A pretty cool Nat and Maxine training montage. And AJ Lee retained against the New Day. And Jaxie, the New Day need to be studied because, I mean, this time last year with their heel turn, it seemed that they're on the cusp of greatness and they have dropped off the fucking cliff, you know. And again, I don't know, it's just because they're a tag team that want to be together.
I mean, like, I don't know what they were doing, but they like what creative again when I'm talking like this. But again, they're missing out on just something absolutely beautiful that like the New Day are doing right now in terms of like this whole sort of like character heel persona and everything. And it's kind of like why are we, you know, taken this long to like or why aren't we giving more ample opportunity or anything to them? They're doing great work right now, and a lot of their stuff, like you said, they need to be studied in terms of how they interact with everyone, their expectations, everything. Like they've just been doing such great work. and it feels like they're being really underutilized. So
It's crazy, yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping that they get more recognition, throughout the next few months. But like it is a real shame again that they're missing out on, what it is that they currently have with the New Day. And I'm worried that they're just gonna squander it before they actually get any real good use out of like, their personas, their characters that they're taking on right now.
No doubt. We got Heyman promo with Bronze and Logan January 5th. Punk versus Bron for the world title, with Bron saying how easy it was to beat CM Punk. And again, Bron sometimes goes to the sublime, to the ridiculous in his promos. I just think maybe it's a head shake too long or something like this. He just maybe needs to tone it down. He called him a soft ass bitch. He threw down the microphone and stomped off, leaving everybody behind. Ripley and Io wanted a tag team title match. Charlotte and Bliss arrived to ask for a match, and the main event was made. Oscar berated Bailey backstage for not joining the team at War Games. When the role model reminded her they lost, the Empress tomorrow reminded her that it's Charlotte Flair in the main event tonight, not her fellow four horsewomen. In the main event, Flair broke up the pinfall just in time for the Kabuki Warriors to hit the ring and draw a double DQ. A beatdown ensued with Bailey, and Lyra made the save. From there, Raquel Rodriguez, Lyra, Akira, and Liv Morgan arrived, attacking all the baby faces, standing tall with Roxanne Perez, of course. It looks like maybe they need another War Games. Do you know what I mean? Like all these women, you got the Judgment Day now. Let's have another War Games match. Come on.
Right. Yeah, like and you know what? Guess what this War Games match might actually have? Some stakes. The tag team title.
That's crazy. I don't know, man. On to SmackDown. Cody sneaked attack Drew. Ilya defended his US title against Mello, with Ciampa helping. In the first time ever singles match, Alexa Bliss beat Kairi Sane. I mean, Gina, isn't it crazy? I mean, I think I've mentioned this before, but Alexa Bliss and Kairi Sane never had a one-on-one match. That's what?
Yeah, when I heard that announced, I was like, really? It seems kind of shocking, because we do talk sometimes about how some weekly match cards seem the same. It's the same people versus the same people, or vice versa, and their tag teams. But how has Kyrie and Alexa never seen each other in a ring before? That's a bit crazy.
It is crazy. Nia and Lash had the final say. Cargill destroyed Alba Fire. Solo said Howdy doesn't deserve the white name, and he believes. Saturday night's main event, Oba or Ricky Saints will face Cody, and Sol Ruka will face Bailey. In the main event, it was the final of The Last Time Is Now, with Gunther made LA Knight tap out. John Cena's last opponent will be the Ring Ganalao. Jaxie, is this the right choice?
With Gunther, I mean, I personally wasn't mad at the choice. I think that there were a lot of people that did take issue with this. What I'll say to that is, okay, fair. Like that's fair enough that you would take a bit of offense to this. Maybe you did want to see, another veteran go against John Cena, but there was like a lot of like sort of discussion about, oh, Gunther isn't like young talent, so he's not really representing or upcoming. And I like to sort of like argue that, because I don't think that that's very fair to like kind of like say that he's not sort of, not what's leading this division at the moment, like, because he is one of those guys that a lot of people are come to come to watch. So like it's kind of like, why shouldn't he have like the opportunity to sort of face John Cena? I didn't see it being an issue. I thought Gunther's worked hard enough within this company to deserve this spot. So for me, I wasn't mad.
But the thing is, and there's also, if you're thinking fucking LA Knight is going to beat Gunter, LA Knight, who couldn't get on the Survivor Series card, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the War Games match,
Yeah.
you thought he was going to beat Gunter and then
Wouldn't
beat
have
John
really
Cena?
got to beat Jay. Like, I mean, again, it's just kind of like, what did you want to kind of like see going into this match? Did you not want to see any form of, could John Cena defy the odds? Could he overcome someone as crazy as Gunther, will he be able to take him on? And I don't actually see what the problem with that was,
Yeah, without a doubt. On Raw, Gunter started the show. He promised to make John Cena tap out. EO beat Kari, Dragon Lee and AJ defending against the War Raiders. And the Usos are back in the tag title scene. It's just quite funny, though. I mean, Jimmy did call Jay a loser. Probably didn't mean it in that way, but I don't think it's going to end well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's like fucking, you were shit last year in predictions. Like, they're telling me maybe you should, just go back and get some help from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you suck, James. Why don't you start teaming up with one of us, or something like, like that. Like that's
Yeah, it
literally
can't
what
be
he
any
did.
worse. Yeah.
Right? You can't be worse than what's been going on lately. And I'm just like, damn. Like, I get it. Like, I understand, and I think that's why all thing I say is that I don't. I think sometimes they want to go further and like let Jay tell a different story when it comes like the Timber Tantrum. Because I thought they had potential to go somewhere really interesting after that. And maybe they still are. Maybe this is just like a stop on that bus. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad at this because like at this point, I'm tired of all the narratives. Like people, when it comes to Jay Uso, I just wish people just would say that they just don't like Jay because that's really what it is a lot of times because certain things only apply to Jay Uso and it only and people get mad when you bring up that it wasn't that was not the case. Like he was absurdly over, and he still is absurdly over. Like the live crowd still love him, and the only time that don't matter is when you don't like somebody, in my opinion. So it's just, but it was interesting, like you said, to kind of hear Jimmy's perspective on it, and I do want more for Jimmy. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not mad at this, and I would love to see the Usos like do their thing in the tag division. But I think it's so much potential with Jay to actually tell an interesting story because they already kind of ran them into the ground with the formal presentation. And I don't think just having Jimmy follow him around and they do the same presentation and just add Jimmy along, I don't think that's going to be necessarily anything different. Like, how is that going to be anything different than what we've seen before? So I hope they go and just try to actually do something interesting from this setup. But either way it go, the Usos are the Usos. They are like a great tag team, a legendary tag team in WWE for a reason. And it's like the Usos are one of the only tag teams that get storylines. They actually get like character progression. So if they at the very least continue to give them TV time and character progression, maybe we can start taking the tag division a little bit more seriously. But I'm not gonna hold my breath when it comes to Triple H because I really do not think I personally believe Triple H like tag wrestling less than Vince did. Like Vince will forget about the tag division, but I think Triple H don't like it at all by comparison.
I just imagine him when he's in DX just hating the fucking Outlaws. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like he couldn't say. I know he hated it.
Yeah,
He
go
hated
away,
every
you
second
two.
about
Yeah,
it.
X-Pac, come here. Anyway, Perez defeated Lyra. The fucking stupidest thing happened as well. Rey Mysterio made his way to the ring for his match against Balor. Logan Paul attacked Mysterio. That is until an unknown assailant came out clad in black and attacked and left Mysterio lying with a curb stomp. LA Knight made the save and he was frustrated, so he wanted Paul in a match. But of course, the black clad mystery man appeared again and delivered a stomp tonight so the Maverick could get the win. Fuck me. The Hills teed off on Knight from there with Breaker delivering a
It was
spear.
thing.
It was again two tsunamis heading into commercial break. That wasn't enough for LA Knight though, because after Breaker finished the promo, Knight was still moving. So obviously, Bronson Reed hit him with a tsunami from a backstage ledge onto the roof of a car. Gina, how can you say we don't like you in so many words? You know what I mean? Poor LA Knight, eh?
I mean, yeah, I didn't know if they were writing him off TV because he's got to go off and do something. He's going to go for a break. But Jesus, you were like, I honest to God don't think the Vision really like him. I don't. I think they truly want to see him in pain because that was
Uh,
quite brutal to watch towards the end.
Oh my my God. I mean, how pissed off is LA Knight? He's like, yeah, you're back with a vision. He's like, I didn't even get psoriasis. Don't worry. We've got an idea for you. You're going to get
He's like,
fucked up.
what? You're putting me against them again, even though you didn't let me have them in the war games. You're mad.
On to SmackDown. Cody couldn't keep Drew's name out of his mouth, but instead of McIntyre, our ruler Obafemi introduced himself to Cody. The future is now. Oba's time is now. I mean, Jaxie, I don't know how much you've seen of Obafemi, but I'm a whore for Femi. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I am a whore for him. He's ready.
I'm very excited. I've seen a couple of his matches on NXT, and like I think he's got incredible potential. I am just worried about how he'll do on the main roster. I'm just always worried when it comes to NXT call-ups lately from the main roster, because they always just end up serving as jobbers for a very long time.
Not when you look like that man, though. Look at him. Look at his muscle. Do
Hey,
you know what I mean?
hey,
He's the
hey,
one
this is
person
what,
I thought.
listen, though, James. This is what we all thought about Keith Lee, and then look how much they fucked that up. All right,
Oh,
so
don't take me back.
let's just take it for what it is, and just
We also don't want him getting the almost treatment.
yeah.
Well, that's true.
Neither that.
Okay,
I would never
bring me
watch
down,
the product
guys.
again if they put him in a helmet like Keith Lee. I will stop watching completely.
If they fuck up over Femi, I just won't. I just can't. Anyway, we had the Ciampa Ilya US title match, which was brutal. There were broken nose and distractions from Candice and Johnny. Somehow, Ilya survived in a classic match. Mello made the save. Howdy Warn Solo, who had more Matt Hardy cadence to him. I don't know if anybody noticed this, but I thought he was a bit more like Matt Hardy. I'm not saying it is Matt Hardy under the Howdy. Maybe it's Sting just as Matt Hardy as Howdy, but who knows? Anyway, Lash looked great against Bliss, getting the biggest win of her career so far. Javon Evans faced Miz and beat him easily. Cargill beat the piss out of Me Chin. Monty, I'll ask you this for Cargill. She's won the championship and she's just gone around beating the piss out of everybody. And again, I don't mind it, but she could be doing a little bit more,
Yeah, it's like I mentioned earlier. There's so many people that you can look at and be like, man, we got so much potential here. And I've been talking about it. I talked about this the last time. Honestly, until they shift up SmackDown's roster or put Jade and her belt on Raw or give them a new batch, we're gonna run into the same thing we ran into with Tiffany. I mean, the opponents are literally the same, and it's minus Nia Jax now, right now. So it's like the only thing Jade can do is beat poor Meechin up and even B-Fab right now. Because they are the only stock baby faces who care about the world championship at the moment. Like they're not gonna do. I think either WrestleMania is gonna be Jade and Charlotte, or because I feel like for a while now they wanted us to get into that. So I can see a Jade versus Charlotte feud, and of course I know we all are waiting on the returns of maybe a Bianca or of course Naomi, but I think honestly from what I see from Bianca and her fingers still being screwed up, and that was a photo she posted around Christmas time, and her fingers still look bad. I was like, maybe this is an old photo and we getting trolled. Nope, look like Bianca might still be out, which is insane when you think about when she hurt that finger. And then we know Naomi is going to take time in that regard too. So I don't like to think she's just standing around and going to be beating people while we wait around for talent. But that's why I think if once we freshen up this roster, get some talent, maybe even just some talent from NXT, whatever we need to do to freshen it up and give her something to do. I would hope so, because I hope they don't believe just because they gave Jade the belt and you know what I mean, a new direction, that's gonna immediately just mean people will care. I do notice that the crowd are more reactive to her in this version of her, but how long will it last when you don't really have a narrative focus or like an actual credible threat trying to challenge you for the title? Because we all know that no matter if you heel or babyface, you're only as good as your opponents, in my opinion, or who's chasing you as champion. That's the only way anybody will ever care. So I think until we get that, Jade unfortunately will kind of just be in this dominant, stagnant kind of position. And but like I'm with you. But if we could do a whole podcast, all of us, and just all of us can list 5 people we think could be doing so much more, and we actually probably could go even further than that. That's just how much that you kind of can see where it's like, damn, man, why are they dropping the ball or not doing what they should be doing or what we see that they could be doing with this talent. So Jade is just another one of those people on the list.
About that. And in the main event, Priest and Ripley faced Vega and Black. It was a bit off. Vega and Rhea messed up 2 important moves, but the Terror Twins did win. And then on to December 13th, then our last event, a 2-hour kickoff, boys and girls, with Joe, Tess, Biggie and Wade and the rest of the team. Chelsea Green was interviewed. Shawn Michaels was interviewed. Jesse Ventura showed up. And there was 2 things Jesse Ventura said, which were quite funny. First off, that John Cena won the title 17 times, but also lost it 17 times. And then mentioned the Macho Man, which was quickly cut off by Joe Tess. I'm not saying there was any reason behind it, but still, Kurt Angle did show up. And there was a cool inflatable Cena as well. I don't know if anybody did see that. It was fucking massive. I would have taken it. And I've not seen Deadline yet. So I'm not going to get my hopes up that Oba is NXT champion. All right. I just think he's holding that championship. Until I see it, I will not believe it. Sami Zayn joined the panel. Triple H showed up and made things about himself. Who would have thought that, eh? Trish Stratus was interviewed. R-Truth sang What's Up with added John. Stephanie McMahon had to show up, apparently. Punk had some nice words. And Lillian Garcia sang the Star Spangled Banner. It was all right, but it wasn't worth 2 hours of anybody's life. The main show was Joe Test with Steph, and then we got Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi, champion versus champion. And I should say Obafemi is awesome. The match wasn't bad. The finish was low. McIntyre caused a DQ, and then Oba and Cody had to team up to take Big Drew down. Gina, what were your thoughts on this? Because again, Oba stepped up to the champion, but the finish, man. I mean, I love McIntyre, but even I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of how I felt about it, just oh for fuck's sake sort of thing. I just don't want Drew becoming a one-trick pony, and that's what it seems like it's kind of leading toward, or what they're doing with him at this point. But don't get me wrong, Oba looked good. He looked so good in that ring, didn't he? So yeah. Either way, I'm worried about where we go with Drew.
But the thing about Drew that I still quite like is when he does face off, and he's faced off with fucking shitload of wrestlers, there's still that reaction from the crowd. You know what I mean? And Oba and Drew will be interested, even though, like you said, I think I might make Oba a little bit of a favourite, considering McIntyre's record, that is, but who knows?
Yeah, although you could look at it like it's WWE's record that they're giving to McIntyre.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Up next, Sol Ruka versus Bayley. After hitting the Soul Snatcher, Ruka was able to get the pin and get the biggest win of her young career. Bayley had a big smile on her face, so she was not upset. And they posed together and gave a salute in tribute to Cena. Jax, again, this wasn't too bad. And Sol Ruka, barring injury, with her athleticism, is right there for the future,
Yeah, I mean, I gotta admit, I don't know much about her. I haven't actually watched a lot of her matches, so I can't say that she's a sole favorite of mine as of yet. However, I do think that she's clearly got a lot of potential. She's got a lot of personality, so it'd be interesting to see where things go from here for her.
But were you impressed enough? Like, again, it's mainly athleticism, but she's you know what I mean?
She's athletic, but I don't know. I think because I'm trying hard not to judge too much when I don't really know what her move style is yet. I don't really know much about her personality or her persona within wrestling either. She comes across as like a surfer girl, and I'm not entirely sold on that. Like, she doesn't not everyone has always come to the ring in proper wrestling ring gear or things like that, but she seems to me like she's just turned up to work in what she maybe wears on a day-to-day basis, like going rollerblading in America or maybe even Australia, so just being on the beach and in the waves and stuff. That's the vibe she gives off, but I've not seen enough of her to be overly impressed yet. But I'm
Okay.
not saying that I'm not impressed either. I just don't know too much about her to have a full judgment yet.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. Up next, it was TNA X Division Champion team with Javon Evans to battle the tag champions Dragon Lee and AJ Styles. The Phenomenal One tripped when he went for his signature springboard forearm. It was hard to tell if that had anything to do with the match ending a few moments later, but Styles did hit the Styles Clash and got the win. And Monty, we know Javon and, of course, Leon. And WWE going to make a play for Slater. He ain't going to be on this show for no fucking reason. But what's even crazier is Javon and Slater weren't even born when Cena debuted in WWE. I mean, come on, man. How old are you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think people forget that. It's like I was trying to say about Roxanne and all of that, and everybody want to give these passing statements about who some of these talents are, and it's like, bro, like they are very. Some of these people are very young. They're like Javon is a kid to me, even to me, and I'm the youngest person on the show. So like I understand that, but like that just shows you where we are because of how special Javon and even Leon, like how special these guys are at this age, because that's the craziest thing about it. Like we know that fact, and we also acknowledge that Javon's talent is just unlimited. You know what I mean? And it's just he hasn't even scratched the surface of how good he's going to be. That's the craziest thing about it. And I think even in this match, I wish they could have got a little bit more time. That's my only kind of nitpick about even Oba's match. The showcases it's just like you wish, but I understand this is Saturday Night Main Event, and they were trying to squeeze all this into like an hour or so. So I get it, but yeah, man. We don't. This match was a nice little sprint, but it didn't even showcase how far we know that those guys can even go, even with even Dragon Lee, also. So I'm glad they were here. I'm glad that it was people who got eyeballs on these guys and can see that if you want to talk about the future, no matter if we just saying the future of the WWE or just future of wrestling in general, Leon Slater, Javon Evans, man, those guys, they are definitely the definition of that. And I hope a lot of people got at least a little taste of what the future really could be like. And you say they're going to make a play for Leon. The way it feels, I'm like, I'm not know how sure I am that they haven't already made the play. I know
They're
legally
not
he's
giving him
probably
back, are they? Yeah.
right.
They're not
Yeah, I
going to
know
give him
legally he's not an impact, but like this feels like it's going to be a done deal as soon as that contract is up with Impact.
Yeah. And then another note as well. It's the first time maybe AJ. Not saying he's a step slower, but maybe you can see his thinking
Yeah, you see
behind it now
why.
when
Right.
he's in there. Yeah, exactly. With a couple of 21-year-olds who are flying around like the Dickens. We then had the Miz show up. First looking to make it about himself again. Our Truth came out and revealed it was Joe Hendry who spot the A-lister stolen the tournament. Joe Hendry arrived when his name was said and took the Miz down so he and Truth could hit the five knuckle shuffle together. Gina, what is crazy about Joe Hendry, if you're not watching the shit he's gone through in TNA and NXT, he's literally been in a WrestleMania match with Randy Orton and then got a great reaction in John Cena's final match. It's crazy, Joe Hendry's reaction. I was just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, again, for those who don't really know much about Joe Hendry, they're like, how does this random guy just keep turning up on these important match cards and being involved in some of these important like stints is unreal. But he definitely is basking in that, and his name is being remembered.
Yeah, no, fair play to him. And then the main event, Gunter got some great heat during his entrance, but it was nothing compared to the reaction John Cena received when he came out for his last ever match. You could tell he was a little emotional, but he kept it together. Both men survived multiple finishes from the other before it finally ended with Gunther using a sleeper for several minutes to make John Cena finally tap out. Disappointed fans were shown in the crowd as the victor celebrated. John Cena was smiling when he passed out. The man who never gives up finally gave up. Jaxie, I'll talk about the match first because when I first saw it with Cena smiling, I didn't like it. But second time around, maybe they could have done a little bit more, but I understand it, if you know what I'm trying to say.
As in like what his face at the end.
Yeah, because at first I was
Yeah.
like, why the fuck is he smiling? And then it was like, oh, okay, I kind
Nah,
of
I
get.
understood it. Like, do you know what? A lot of people might hate on me when I say this, but like I actually say this without actually like, and I don't mean it as a insult, but um, John Cena's cheesy. And I think like that, like the moment I saw him smiling at the end of that match, like I felt it was cathartic. I was not mad at this. And the reason why is that this is a man that literally preached constantly about loyalty, hustle, and respect and never giving up. And like how um it's such a juxtaposition to have him like then lose his final match by giving up. Like there is a beautiful story being told there, and it's like, it's one that not a lot of people will appreciate, but like really I like all I could see is this being John Cena's idea. I could see like John wanted to like tap out like to Gunther, like John wanted to leave that ring making sure that Gunther was the biggest heel that they've seen since Rikishi ran over Stone Cold and said he did it for The Rock. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I think that there's not a lot of people appreciating the beauty in sort of what was being told, like from underneath, like from like the overall storyline and its texture and its layer of like, like what John represented within the ring as a wrestler, as an athlete, and as an idol. So, I could see that there are those that, really are super John Cena fans that really didn't see it going this way. We've seen a lot of legends retiring lately, and they've been winning their matches. So this is one of those matches where you kind of presumed, well, that's got to be the outcome, right? He can't lose his final match. And I think that there's something special in the fact that John like openly said that he didn't really want to win his final match against Gunther. He wanted Gunther to win it, you know? Um, so I mean we'll discuss other things that happened, post match after, but in terms of like what I saw in John's face when he tapped out instantly, that's what I thought was, John was happy with this performance. John is happy to tap out. He is happy to hand things over now, that's what I took from it.
No, I agree. I was shocked with the amount of fans who thought he was going to win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was surprised by that.
The incoming flux of boos that instantly happened the moment the bell rang was like openly shocking to me.
And we talk about what happened afterwards. Well, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes draped their belts over Cena's shoulders as the crowd chanting, "Thank you, Cena." But Monty, even Cena was a bit awkward with the championships. Do you know what I mean? He wanted to kind of give them back, and he was told no, they lift them
Yeah.
up for the crowd. Like.
Yeah, but you got. I think. Leading up to the match, John did a lot of media, and I don't. I think some people don't believe that he truly as modest as he really is because it feels like somebody like him shouldn't be that modest. But like he truly, as big of a star as he is, and he is the guy, and we all know, they call him the GOAT and all that type of stuff. But Cena truly didn't want to make this last night about him as much. Like it was about him, but he wanted to use that to make the like. Look at the rest of the show that he said that he fought for the book. He wanted to focus on the future and make it not such of a bit of a spectacle about him. And I know it's just like a symbolic thing what they were trying to do, but like I really do believe John was like, no, like don't do that. Don't y'all like leave me. I'm done with this now. Like it's all I'm over. Like that's the whole point of this is you guys can finally be out of my shadow. You can leave me alone. I'm ready to do something else. I'm ready to be someone else. Because I know John Cena gave his government his legit name to wrestling, but it, like think about that too. Like a lot of guys get to be other people. Like see him, no, they don't walk around calling him Phil Brooks. We know that's Punk. Like Cena has not been able to separate from who he has been since the beginning of his career. So now he finally can finish this chapter, and I think some of that apprehensiveness has to be a little bit of just like, no, it's over now. I get it. I'm glad this. That's why he didn't want a traditional. Let's just make the whole show about me. Show. He wanted to show the match. The last match can be about him, but he wanted the show itself to focus on the WWE's future, using his spotlight to focus on WWE's future, which I do think to an extent, because I did see a lot of people talking about Over, talking about the young guys. I do think that it did accomplish their goal. Also, John also posted after this match, and again, what the hell is this? The Star Wars episode for me? He posted the picture of Obi-Wan of when Obi-Wan put his lightsaber down and let Darth Vader strike. And like, if you know the symbolic meaning behind that, Obi-Wan knew that some other, that Luke or like someone was gonna come and be the hero. He didn't have to be the hero. He didn't have to. He could give up, and that's really why he did that. I know I saw a lot of people talking about, what the smile or whatever and all that, but that's really what he was finally at peace. All that never giving up for 20 years and carrying this company on his back. He finally was done with it. He don't have to do it. Some other hero will come put Gunther down for him. Or whatever, however you want to look at it, or will be the new hero that can carry the company forward. That's the whole symbolic point, I believe, behind that. So, but again, I thought this was a good way to do it. I'm just like you though, James, man. I could not believe how many. I was like, I think this showed me how big Cena really has been for the last 20 years, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for being this big because you have to be casual, in my opinion, to look at that match and be so shocked that Gunther won because that is old school booking. And I even see AEW fans, some of the most hardcore claiming fans, bringing up Sting as if that wasn't a completely different situation. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't a one-on-one match, so he wasn't putting over one person. It was a street fight type of deal that was a great tribute. And I'm not trying to say that it was anything wrong with what AEW did. I like that too. But to try to act like that's that the losing your retirement match is not the norm. That's not just like how it goes. I just couldn't believe it was so many people so shocked that Gunther won. I just like, what do you mean? And what did we gain by having John do a Super Cena win there?
No,
Either. That's what do you gain
nothing.
going forward to have Cena do that? So like, yeah, that was ridiculous to me. That's the most. That was the thing that I took away from the match at the end the most. That I just could not believe that people did not think Cena would lose. But other than that, this is great. You can argue did Gunther gain anything from doing this, but honestly, yeah, I think he proved that right after it on the next show with that reaction to him. So yeah, this is. I think they did a good piece of business, but that was definitely uh, a very interesting takeaway from this match. That so many people were so mad. Like I saw some people like, "Oh, they all coming for you, Triple H."
Yeah.
It's
Well,
plenty of reason to come for Triple H. Trust me. It's plenty of better reason to come for Triple H. Man.
uh, yeah, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Anyway, I've heard a rumor Sting might be on the comeback, so who knows about that? But yeah, as for the match,
Great.
Cena left his trainers and other bits of apparel in the ring as he walked off in just his socks, bless him. But I get the moment. I get the moment. The crowd hated it, and the fuck Triple H chants and the you fucked
Yeah.
up chants and all this lot was just fucking crazy. But I mean, Gina, it came to an end, and we could talk about the match and we could talk about the year, and what were your thoughts on John Cena's final year, basically? Do you know what I mean? I know it's quite a big question and we've talked about it quite a lot this year, but losing to Gunter, I was just saying, Gunter, what year he's had in the end. Do you know what I mean? A couple of world title
Yeah,
reigns and,
definitely. I
stuff like
mean,
this.
it's been a crazy year, and I wouldn't exactly say that I kind of saw this ending at the beginning of the year, when we got the announcement that it was John's final year, his retirement year. I definitely didn't see this sort of ending coming into play. But I am a little bit like Monty and Jax. I did see the image that he had in mind for this match when he smiled when he tapped out. I didn't see it as a bad thing at all. So I don't think it as much hate should have been warranted. I get it. He's a heel. You don't want the heel to win. So, feel free to chuck some booze in there. But overall for the year, I think it could have been better. I think towards the latter part of the year was definitely more the upside of his retirement tour. I kind of just want to forget about the heel turn stuff and The Rock, and then The Rock not turning up and Travis Scott. I kind of just want to forget about all of that, if I'm honest, and scratch that from John's final year. So if I could delete anything for him for the year, it would be that. But I hate to say it, but I think even from the match with Logan Paul, which I think was actually an all right, decent match between the two, I think from then onwards, like the tour started getting better, you know. So yeah, all in all, it wasn't awful, and I again don't think that the match, the his final match was awful. I thought it was great storytelling. Um, and I know that that's how John wanted to go out. So if they've abided to his wishes, then it makes me happy to know that he's going out the way he wanted to, rather than them saying, no, we have a better idea and you're going to do this. So yeah, I don't see his final year as a shit final year, but I think half of it can be forgotten.
He should tweet out, "I wanted to be Edge," or do you know what I mean? Like really, really
Yeah.
piss everybody off.
Yeah, and then that would just garner so much hate for WWE because they'll just be like, "It was you that stopped that from happening." But then again, if they're
Yeah.
gonna get that much hate, they should also get hate from stopping Nakamura to go and facing Tanahashi. But we'll get into that on another podcast.
But you've made the perfect point there because, like I said, as we do this, it's January 3rd now. Obviously, that was December 13th that Cena retired, and obviously tomorrow is Hiroshi Tanahashi's last match. So again, like you said, we will be discussing that and maybe the similarities or how both of their years kind of went down the road. But yeah, very, very interesting. Just even the timing of this show compared to what's happening tomorrow. But the post show with Joe Test, Biggie, Peter Robertsburg. I don't know if Jey Uso has to be smashed on a post show, but he just showed up effing and jeffing. Like, I just don't know. I was just like, all right, Jay, like, okay. Believe it or not, Cody
Yeah,
made it about him.
there was a brilliant moment. It was a viral clip of video of him backstage, and he sees like a cardboard cutout of John Cena, and just walks past it and smacks it for no reason whatsoever. And like it's like this most smallest and pathetic of things, but I could not stop laughing at it. And I don't know why. Jey Uso is the most random man, but you know what? He's doing no harm. So laugh him. He's entertaining us.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Cody did make it about himself being the last superstar around the ring. Cole with a few words, but I don't know if anybody else. I don't think Michael Cole stood out on commentary to me on this one. Maybe he was too emotional, but I don't think there was anything that really was like, oh, what a call that was. I think my line about the guy that never gave up is probably better than anything we heard. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Miz joined the panel for a little bit. They booed the shit out of Triple H. More you fucked up chance. And the thing about Triple H, he was in heel mode here. So he was just like, I thought you were going to be loud. He just pissed the crowd off even more, which again is an option. He said Obafemi is the future, and the same with Sol Ruka. And then there was some AEW chants, which again, you don't get a lot of shows. And I think it maybe showed itself that Survivor Series and the John Cena last match left a bit of taste in some fans' mouths. But Jaxie, I asked you, what were your thoughts on WWE? Like I said, we're going to stop right now and hopefully catch up as we head towards the Rumble. But for Survivor Series and John Cena's last
Mm.
match, what are your thoughts been on WWE?
Yeah, I think it's been a bit up and down for WWE, and I think that like this becomes sort of like a regular thing. This is always going to be sort of a thing. There, regardless as to what promotion it's going to be, you're gonna like hit ups and downs. You're gonna hit sort of like bumps in the road where you try different ideas out and it doesn't work for different wrestlers, whether or not it's them turning face or them going heel. This, that, and the other. But WWE have really handled things a little bit childish this year in terms of whether or not they listen to the fans or they don't, whether or not they want to acknowledge that or not. And don't get me wrong, this isn't going out there and saying that WWE fans are just as petty as well. So I'm not saying that. But I do think that it affects storylines, it affects the writing, and it affects like these wrestlers and what they're capable of doing in the ring. So I'm just really hoping and praying that like WWE in general, mainly creative, get their shit together for 2026, because they cannot have another year like last year. there was a lot more downs than there were ups for me in terms of just what they were doing with certain wrestlers, their decision on certain call ups and whether or not that was the right time and decision and things like that. But they need to get their shit together, you know? They've got some real good storylines that they're building at the moment, towards the end of 2025, going into 2026. And I want to see that play out. But I just hope that it's not even about listening to us fans and always taking on everything we say on board, but I think that they need to actually really look back at long-term storytelling again and how to actually build on that, because I feel like they've just very much been like living by week to week in terms of how to build their stories, and that's not how shit used to go down. So they just need to get their shit together.
I completely agree. And I think, like I said, we talk about the road to WrestleMania. There's not a clear path or any matches at this moment in time we can maybe guess or so. And I think might become a little bit clearer because obviously Raw is back live on Monday with Braun versus Punk for the World Championship. And obviously we've got Drew and Cody. I'm not going to get my hopes up with Drew. But again, if Randy Orton was to cost Cody, that set up a WrestleMania then, wouldn't it? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but we'll see what happens. But I completely agree with you. It's going to be an interesting start to 2026. But that is it for us here. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
Yep, I'm on X and Twitch at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Monty?
At my Monty Pod at House of Torture.
And Gina?
You can find me at Purple Pain.
And the WNR also on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget, send us an email at the WNR Podcast at gmail.com and YouTube and the WNR Podcast where we're celebrating. Well, we're coming up to 11 years now. I've got to change that soon because it's like, what the fuck's happened here? But anyway, we've got a WNR with shorts, universe mode, and clips. I'm going to go back on YouTube and do stuff once my voice went on one of the YouTube videos. You can hear it and laugh if you want. So I've not done it since, but it will be up and running again. Of course, the podcast is live on YouTube, also on SoundCloud on your phone, and also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, I think we're going to get Deadline done because, the Obafemi thing seems quite big. And we'll do that. And then in 2 weeks, we'll do World's End, which will be the AEW show. And then after that, we'll have a look and sort everything out. But until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thanks for joining me, Jax. Another year under our belt.
Yep, it's been fun, and I look forward to what 2026 can bring in the world of wrestling. Let's start off nice with Wrestle Kingdom. I hope everyone enjoys that tonight who are watching and checking that out.
Without doubt. And of course, the mind of Monty. Monty won again, but it's not much a surprise, really. Maybe it will change this year.
I'm the greatest of all time, and I'm pretty.
And humble. And of course, the genius of Gina. Gina, well done this year. I know Monty's run away with it. I would say it's to Jaxie, but I don't want to. You've done really well with the predictions, and still be in it at this stage is a hell of an effort.
Yeah, thank you. I hope to get my crown back next year, or should I say this year? But I'm still proud of what I got through last year. I didn't know if I'd actually be able to even, be level or be somewhere in the third category. So I'm still pleased.
Well, that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.